Hey, physical science, if you missed class today, I'm just going to do a quick overview of what we covered. First thing, you want to go into our Motion and Scientific Method Power Focus area for STEM Physical Science on summitlearning.org. When you click into that focus area, you are going to see a couple different objectives. We all went ahead and took the diagnostic last time. If you haven't yet, you need to do that. Okay. So notice here that you've got these objectives and they let you know some information. So if we click onto objective 2, we're going to see that there's lots of different resources here. So you can choose which resources you want to use. There's some ones that are highly recommended on these different objectives. And so I would take some time to look through those. Today in class, you missed a little bit of a lecture over this information, so it'd be good for you to do some of the resources here. The reason we're looking at these resources is because in OneNote, you have a page in your specific notebook underneath Scientist in Training, and there's a page called Motion and Scientific Method Power Focus Area. So I want you to notice in here that you have these 4 different objectives and that you can rate yourself as to where you think you're at. And then you're going to write out what resources you've used to learn to make sure you've met this objective, and how do you know that you've met the objective. So my example in my content library, I went ahead and said, okay, I can measure and calculate distance, speed, and time somewhat, right? So I'm like halvesies. And I've learned some of it from 6th grade physical science. And I know that I can do this pretty well because I passed this objective on the diagnostic. So if we go ahead and go back to our summit screen here, we'll see that for objective 1, oh yeah, I got a 3 out of 3. I'm green. That means I passed this section. So I don't really need to probably worry too much about that one. But objective 2, I definitely need to work on. So for objective 1, I'm going to say that I completed that. And I completed it maybe even last week. So I might put 9, 10 when we had class last week. And so then this week, what we're looking at is I can compare and contrast speed, velocity, and acceleration. So you may feel, I'm confused about this, right? And so you want to talk about what resources are you going to use? And those are the resources from the Power Focus area on Summit that are really, really helpful to use, is to look through those highly recommendeds, the check for understandings, and those kind of things. And then when you feel confident, you of course can move this check mark all the way over to here and say, I've got this now. Or maybe now because I passed it, I've got it. Right? So I'm kind of thinking through, where am I at on this? Each of these objectives we're going to spend a little bit of time in class on until we get to the 24th when I am wanting you to pass this content assessment. So you'll notice that there are notes down below, a space for you to take notes. So I went ahead and illustrated how you can use the draw tool here in OneNote. I like the Galaxy Pen, and then I click, I want to draw with mouse or touch, right? So I can actually draw out here that speed is, distance, a certain amount of distance traveled over a certain amount of time. Okay, so you can use it that way. You can also, of course, just type if you want to. You can go ahead and type speed equals distance divided by time. Okay, so those are all options for you here. So what we did today in class was we went over those first 2 objectives. And then last but not least, we signed up for our Quizizz class. So in the content library, I want you to click on General Class Info. I want you to note that this information here is going to be available to you both when we're in class in hybrid model, and if we go back to online learning, this will always be here for you. So note that there are the Zoom links, there's the school calendar, there's a seating chart that I'm going to be putting in here and covering for you on Thursday, and then there's the weekly agendas that I've been sending to you. So if you've missed class, all the information is right here in the general class info. So if you missed class last week, a video for you to use right below, okay? And then this week is where this video is actually going to be posted. But you need to go ahead and click on to quizizz.com, join class, and then there's our code there. If you don't have a Quizizz account yet, you'll need to make one. And you'll also need to make sure that if you have an account that you just log in before you click on this link. So number 1 thing to do, make sure that you're logged into your Quizizz account first, and then you're going to go ahead and click on this link to join our class. Once you've done that, you have a quiz assigned to you that I would like you to have done by Thursday before class. just to get give yourself a check for understanding of those first 2 objectives. Of course, since you missed class, you'll need to do some of your own note taking before you take that Quizizz to cover objectives 1 and 2. Just like we saw here in our motion and scientific method PFA, you're going to cover these on your own and take some notes for yourself. All right, have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye, guys.